Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does Omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Buza meya achegana. Tauni kiraka achegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga ene ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves. Okay, thank you so much for joining us once again. And we are coming to you from the Media Lab Studios here in Entebbe, the first colonial capital of the country. And it stands out to be, of course, the gateway to Uganda. And we really thank everyone who is watching on different platforms, Entebbe Post, Nkumba Times, Media Lab. You really make us proud. Whenever we come here, there is something we always want to put before your face and your ears. And this time we're taking a very different direction, which is sports. We know that many people actually use sports. Sports has now turned out to be a business. It's sports for health, sports for tourism, among other many things. And that will be our discussion. But with me in the studios, on my immediate right, is Byekwaso, who is the CEO for Sports Uganda Limited UK, and on the other side is Hudson Kirabo, who is the Rhino Athletic Club CEO, I think.
Logistics and
okay. But also on my immediate left is David Isabirye, who is a senior writer with Kawowo Sports. I will start from my right. Andrew, you say hi to our viewers and listeners.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It's a great privilege to be hosted by Media Lab in Entebbe, Uganda. I was born and bred in Entebbe.
Wow.
And I'm so happy that I'm recording this.
From your home.
From my home.
Hudson, say hi to our viewers and listeners.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, and whatever. So, Hudson, as he has said earlier, well, I'm so privileged to be here, and I think this will be very, very grateful if all people are listening in and watching at what's going to be happening.
Kawowo, the senior writer, I don't want you to take a long time introducing yourself as if you're new here. You are, but anyway, say hi to the audience.
David Isabirye is my name. I'm a senior writer with Kawowo since 2011. It's a privilege to serve in the sports subsector, particularly with Kawowo Sports, where I was born and bred. I was like our guest, Byekwaso. So I was also born and bred in Entebbe. So it's a big honor to be here in the Media Lab.
Okay, we will start from the campaign. Andrew, I have met you several times when you're trying to uplift the sports voice, I call it, with the different campaigns for health, for tourism, among other things. What exactly do you want to portray in this whole campaign that you're undertaking?
Uganda is such a beautiful country with so many landscapes and peoples and diversity. The Ugandan population is one of the youngest on the planet. We have the second youngest under 20 population in the world. The projection for our population by 2050 is going to be 100 million people with a median age of 15.8. The birth rate of an average Ugandan lady is 4.550 births per lady. Those metrics are pointing at the fact that there has to be an intervention designed specifically for young people. Now, when you do that, it means you have to access them through their main channel, which is play. So that's a win-win situation, that if you combine all the beauties that Uganda offers, the youthful population, the young people with so much energy, the sudden performance on the world stage with our netball girls, the runners, it's just begging us to do something. And I've always had sports at my heart.
Okay, Hudson, you've also taken on the message to conserve the environment. I've also seen some of the works you're doing, but someone would really want to understand the collaboration that you've made between the two of them, conservation and sports as well. Is it the same message you're trying to portray, just like Andrew has said?
Yes, on that point, we tend to give back to nature. What do we do? What I do, I collect data from all the 16 spaces that we're having in Uganda. We call them hubs. I collect the data, per se, the goals, the scores, the tries, the time they're skipping, how much one can sprint. I convert all those measurings into seedlings. I can say each goal will go for 2 seedlings. I get those seedlings, I take them to them. They conserve nature and tell them about the importance of conserving nature, so that a child grows from childhood knowing what really is happening. Why do I do this? What do I have to do? How do I do it? Just to make actually to have a greener Uganda. Because apparently most spaces where I've passed, trees have been cut down to get charcoal, timber or something. That means in the next 25 years or 30 we shall die of hunger because there will be no more rains.
And Isabirye, you've covered these sport disciplines from all walks of the country. Do you see the concept that Andrew and Hudson are trying to project work together?
Surely, when the first time I heard about Rhino Athletics Club Uganda and Sports Uganda Limited UK, I felt I should give it a major go. I should give it a major boost and amplify the message that is being portrayed throughout the different corners of the country. From Kisoro to West Nile, the message is one. The cry of a sporting budding talent who need help, whichever help which is. Rhino Athletic Club has amplified the message. They have done whatever they could. For instance, collaborating with partners, you tell us more about the partners from the UK and elsewhere to donate clothes, to donate boots, which is one of the biggest undergoing we have had in Uganda. Ivan, you'll bear me witness. You come from Manafa.
Yes.
Where a ball is one of the precious craved for items, and it is nowhere to be seen. So if you get someone who is donating 4 balls to a sub-county, it will be like a storm in hell.
And maybe, Andrew,
Yes.
you have met different groups of young people. I know you've been to many different places. But what is the pressing need that you think the children must be kept, first of all, with what they align with at a young age? You said football. And it's what is going to change the mindset, because I have been to small pitches where children are playing, and you realize it is done away with whether families have conflicts, they do not. But when they get to play from the same pitch, they can have a single composition of what should be right for them, even when you have an idea to instill in their understanding.
Yes, the biggest question I've asked in my traversing Uganda is asking a young child, what are you doing? And the commonest answer is nothing. Because they sit there, they're waiting for something to happen. So provision is critical. Now, provision means you have a space, you have equipment if you can, but crucially, you have expert instruction. Because along the sports continuum, at the bottom where the base should be, creating the numbers, the happy feet as we call them, they want to do something, but someone needs to tell them how to use the left leg, the right leg, develop them, left hand, right hand, balance, jump, landing. And if they get those psychomotor skills at an early age, when they then go to that stage where they begin to specialize in whatever they're doing, the body and the muscle memory is in place. The nervous system is already aware. From ancient Greece, when the Olympics were done, it was meant to harmonize human beings with the environment. And that was the purpose of Olympism. And then when you run very well, your 26 miles, or whatever it is, you're fit, you're healthy, but again, you come together and celebrate the whole thing. But training or development of the athlete started at a young age, and they excelled. So what we are trying to do is to bring back that quality physical education right at community level. You saw the other day at Chikadi's pre-primary school.
So,
Yes, it was critical that the kids know how to catch. The Titanic sank so many years ago. After that, Britain changed the curriculum to say every child must swim. But the thing is, the people who were thrown the rope to catch it, could you catch it? You have one shot at it. The lifeboat throws you the rope, and you've never caught before in your life. You're going to grab air. So these are really survival skills. You could be jumping out of a burning building, God forbid. But we're trying to do a little bit to create this quality at the early age, to try to interest coaches and teachers and community leaders to take an interest in their society performing well.
I'm wondering, Isabirye, maybe you can add on this. What is the target? What are you targeting? Are you targeting maybe one group per community that children are doing this? I don't know how best we can.
I'll throw it to Hudson. He talked about the hubs
Yeah.
in his earlier submission. Possibly you elucidate about the key stakeholders. The other time we saw you went to the UOC,
Yeah.
National Council of Sports, and whichever sports federation would have to associate with.
What we do here, why we call them hubs, we get like one station per se. Let it be a school, and we put all the equipment in one place, not for that particular school, but for the society, whereby every child in the society can access it from there, so that everyone has the opportunity to find his talent from there. So we collect, we gather those equipment, we put at all hubs, and the whole society has to gain from that equipment from there. Regardless, or you go to school, whether you go to school or not, but you have to benefit from that equipment from there, because it's free.
And I saw other games, the traditional African games, Omweso, among others. How are you dealing with this? I have not played Omweso. I think how I wish I was there.
That is it's a strange coincidence now that you talk about it.
Pardon, before you possibly continue, you tell us your portfolio on the traditional games.
Oh, yes. I was fortunate enough to be invited to a workshop for physical education, community mobilization. And then after that workshop, Chief Michael Shamsu Mustafa, Secretary General of the Traditional Sports and Games body in the African Union, listened to my presentation and said, "Can I talk to you?" And he said, "Can you write me a concept note of how you could attach traditional games to what you're doing?" I wrote him a note, and he sent it back saying, "I have rejected your notes. I want you." And then he appointed me on the advisory board at the African Union level for the traditional sports and games. Right now, as I speak, they have created a European desk for traditional games, which they're going to link to Africa. So it's gaining traction, and UNESCO is supporting Africa to preserve these wonderful games, mind games, the strategy, the wrestling, which is, I don't know whether it still goes on. It was a very strong area in Uganda. So I happen to wear that hat also, in addition to this one, where I do sports development using physical education. There is an element of coding and robotics, which we'll talk about later.
Okay, but we will also slightly talk about your efforts to fulfill your interest. You covering different walks of the country, like Isabirye said, he's been to cover the Western Island, the rest of us. How are you? Are you able to sustain yourself? It's you who is going here and there.
I need a begging bowl. I need a whenever I stop, I say, drop in what you can. Well, the thing is, we've had partners and sponsors who have been very kind. I'll just run through them so that you begin to understand. Southampton FC, a Premier League team in England. All those jerseys which you see kids wearing are given free of charge by Southampton FC. North Somerset Regional Talent Center, which they operate a system of satellite hubs to feed into the academy system. They have been huge. They're coming to Uganda next year, actually. They're sending a team of coaches here.
That'll be great.
The programs. There's Bath University Department of Sports Science. Dr. Stephen Baddeley has been outstanding in advising on how you can create grassroots physical education that can be self-sustaining. Salisbury Rugby Football Club, I can't thank them enough. Every year, for the last 2 years, when the season ends, I take my wife's car and drive all their boots, balls, kit, and take it home. They say take the whole thing, because every season they get new stuff. They have sponsors. So all their dirty equipment, and our house smells. And I have a fight with my wife because of that. But I do it because I know what I'm trying to do here. So there are people like that. There's Sam Beckett's media company. They put our network, the Kawowo articles, they plug them into all their media outlets. The name Kawowo now Media Lab, is going to be something people mention casually because they now know a lot about it. Lukango Tree Conservancy in Buwama.
Yes.
They have endangered species. They have links with Kew Gardens and the International Union of Conservation of Nature. They're targeting species to go back to where they should be seeded properly and looked after. I will talk to you again about the special program Hudson has come up with of how we can get a child to grow with the tree. I'll tell you that later.
I don't know who becomes more taller than you.
And then there are certain individuals who drive all this. There's a guy called Andy Eisentrager. He's Coach Andy. You should meet him. You will meet him. He's coming to Uganda with the coaches. He's the most under-assuming people you'll ever meet. He has single-handedly driven the parents, children, coaches to make sure they give to Uganda. There's Jason Yarwood, the Youth Development Officer at Salisbury Rugby Club. He believes in what we're doing. We're taking a team of rugby players to England and Ireland. Jason is the driving force.
Okay.
Traditional sports and games, it's basically Dr. Dan Isabirye and Mr. Hudson Chagaba and Simon Sakalega, is it? Simon, who are in the Uganda traditional sports and games, who are driving this thing. So we're trying to stitch it all together so that it can spread using the spaces we have. The space concept we have is very good because it's a satellite which collects anybody interested. Come join us, play, learn the skills, compete, shake hands at the end of the day. Peace building. In fact, there's a UNESCO peace building project that I'm writing, which will be part of the Ubuntu Sports Festival in July this year, yes, at Bunyonyi Safaris. Their whole thrust is peace building. And I'm writing that. I was given a template, a blank sheet, already pre-approved. I just have to put in all the activities. So it's this collaboration of partnerships that sustain the ability to keep going. Because if someone gives you 200 footballs, 100 rugby balls, 300...
And how do you get them to Uganda? I've interacted with a number of friends at the airport. When you bring these equipment, some of the friends are like, you can't enter them in the country. They will call them business. And the tax levied on each one of them is, I think, a signal that next time don't come with them. How do you get them here?
Qatar Airways flew in 3 pallets of kit donated from all these wonderful people, paid for by Regional Express, Amazon's main shipper. Now, anybody with a business head on would realize these are companies you really need to be sticking to and plugging into. When our kit arrived at Entebbe International Airport, it was impounded. And we got a bill. Hudson got a bill.
It is unfortunate.
Yes. And he called me in the middle of the night and said, okay, the kit has arrived on Qatar Airways, but it's impounded. Then we had to raise stupendous amounts of money to release it. Because we had told people from Kumi, from Gulu, from Ajumani, from Iganga, that come and collect kit at Chadon Rugby Club at a ceremony where we had invited officials. Now the kit is impounded at Entebbe Airport. We told these people, this is free, we're not selling anything. They said, but it's in plastic wrappers. I say, yes, because when a Southampton FC changes logo, like they're not sponsored by Under Armour anymore, they're now Adidas or whatever, they have to ditch every single thing with Under Armour on it. We begged and they said, no, pay your taxes. So it's a mountain.
Let's talk about sports tourism. How are you linking this to this raw sector in Uganda, sports tourism? We know, of course, we are doing well when it comes to athletics. I can say it is a front of what we can talk about. But how are you interlinking the two?
We have special ambassadors Jacob Cheplima, Stephen Kiprutoch, and Joshua Cheptegei.
Yes.
Who are carrying our flag high.
That's a very good point, and it's a point. There's a gap there with what we've been doing as Ugandans. When the South African rugby player, the sprinter on the wing, the name will come back to me. He's one of the fastest wingers in South Africa, but he's retired. When they wanted to promote their national parks, they made him race with a cheetah. It's on the internet, and that alone caused the number of tourists to go up. Our runners now, they only have to stand next to something and run, and people will come and see it. I'll bring a comparison of Nyege Nyege Festival. When people came for that, they discovered that Uganda is such a beautiful place. Yes. There are connotations with that sort of side of things, but if you can link it with sport, not only is it a good endeavor, people can market Uganda well. Now, most of us think sports tourism has to be somebody coming from Europe to see things here. You can take someone from Kabale to go and see Kidepo.
Yes.
That's also tourism. But
domestic tourism.
Domestic tourism. And that also builds bridges, very good bridges, between peoples, between communities. So what we're trying to say is we're in a place, what is there to see? For example, when we're in Mbale, we have a small something there. And we know that there's in the neighborhood, there's Sipi Falls, there's the Rock, Tororo Rock, there's all these things. So we try to highlight those because people who are looking at Uganda from beyond Uganda want to know what else is there. There's the food, the good food, wonderful cuisine. I can't stop eating. I start in the morning, and by night time I can hardly walk. The cuisine is excellent. I have to stock up. But so what we're saying is that because of the calorie equation that people use, when you burn energy, you need more. But that more is food, nutritious food, health. We're saying that highlight the good things your country has. Love the green. Because if you conserve, then you're building a beautiful place, the Garden of Eden. This, in my opinion, this is Wakanda for me. And people can come and see it. We have so much to offer. Where we've all traveled, it's barren. They've run out of things to offer. We have more, but it's not yet seen. And it can leverage our economy. Because if people fly in, they spend money. If people go from Kabale to Chidepo, they'll spend money. We spend wherever we go. You have to buy water, you end up spending, and that's very good for the local economy. So we're trying to say those elements have to be incorporated in the thinking. We have a $0 budget model, which is going to build the sustainability of this, where the local Kabala glass seller, the Muwogo seller, the Rolex seller sponsor the league. But they don't have to sponsor it in the traditional way of money. They could give oranges or whatever they have. And we value it and say that's the amount of sponsorship. But if there's a link between the local products and the activity, then it can only grow because that person normally sells that at 2 or 3 times their normal turnover because of the activity. And the economics will tie in very quickly. Everywhere we've gone, you've seen the sales. Almost everybody has doubled the 1 basket of kabaga to 2 to 3. That's what we need to accelerate, and we tie it into the whole idea.
Isabirye, you have a question for Hudson?
Yes.
Before we know.
Hudson, since you are in charge of logistics and conservation at Rhino Athletic Club, my hint would be, how is the strategy, the conservation strategy? Because in Uganda, we normally neglect. You plant and neglect. You cut and don't replace. How is your strategy to make sure those endangered species?
What I do is, first of all, when I get on ground, I tell a child that I'm giving you this seedling. You're going to plant this seedling, but not only planting this seedling, but growing it. Because I have to see it, you have to watch it grow, and I have to watch it grow, and I have to make sure that I monitor that seedling. Because at the end of the day, you'll wake up one morning and I gave you a mango seedling, and it has grown up. You start your harvest. That means those fruits will add on the $0 budget we are talking about. You shall get those mangoes, put them on the field, the children eat. Not just planting, but growing. That's the main
Every
emphasis.
time you come to play, must check on it before you...
Yes, I must check on it. And if suppose I gave you like 10 seedlings, you have the right to tell me that, Hudson, you know what? The 10 seedlings you gave me, 2 dried out. I have to make a replacement for those 2. you also watch after them. So that the generation keeps on going, and it gives the kids responsibility. He grows up knowing what to do.
And when are we getting the best barefoot league? Last time we were at the school, you talked about it. When are we kickstarting it?
The best barefoot league in the world is designed in the following way, with a few themed sports: tag rugby, soccer, netball, skipping, plogging, and running, and the traditional African games. A league table is created. To us, it doesn't matter who wins or loses, but the kids just score points, make tries, skip for minutes, and he converts it. Our league is that table. And we're going to put it on a running score live on the internet where people can see each other's performance. Who's planting more trees? Who's running more miles? Who's skipping more minutes? Because this has obvious links to cardiovascular health in Uganda, long-term outcomes. So the best barefoot league is really survival for the children.
Oh, interesting. We look forward to that, and I know Hudson, Andrew, we just got this time of your schedule for the day. But unless you have a parting shot, and I'm giving each one 30 seconds to give your parting shot before David Isabirye will wrap it up.
My message is that we need more people on board. We need everyone who has an opportunity or an ability to help children, and anybody doing activities that support children and survival, conservation, health, education, and tourism. Please come on board. Also, if there are local games in your area, highlight them, support them. And the media, thank you so much. You play such a crucial role. We need you more at the front line of these things, because if a child sees themselves being covered, they're more likely to be inspired.
Do you have a website or social media that people can follow you on?
Website is all being revamped: sportsuganda.org, then rhinoathleticlub.com, but those are being redone.
Then the socials?
Socials go along the same names.
Okay, Hudson, your parting shot, 30 seconds. Before
I won't part so much away with what AB has said. All I can say, we need more people on board, support this, and we are grateful for those who have already been giving in, and we thank the medias who have given us a platform so that everyone gets to know what's going on, and just appreciate and say thank you.
David, anything you can say before?
I'm just overwhelmed for such a discussion, away from the iron sheets. In Uganda, there are so many things that catch
attention, people's attention.
To discuss sports, health, environment, and conservation, it's really unique and it's rare in Uganda. So I'm just overwhelmed that we get a few hours, a few minutes to discuss sports specifically, conservation, health, tourism. It's just amazing. I'm thankful to the partners that work with Rhino Athletic Club and Sports Uganda Limited, UK. But most important of all, I'm making a humble appeal to the government, to the concerned ministries, Ministry of Education and Sports, Ministry of Finance, URA, in case these people can get tax waivers.
Yeah, sure. Last time I think there is a lady that does rowing. You remember?
Yes,
what's her name?
Catherine Noble.
Yes. Her equipment were in.
They are still in the they are called docks. They are still in the bond.
But how can we then develop? How can we compete with South Africa, USA? When the president talked about it, I don't know how far it went, but he was talking about waiving tax on such
sports gear,
sports gears,
and that's the main problem we have here. Because if at all you have an inventory which states that this is donated equipment and it's not for resale, you really look at it, it's donation, not to be resold. But again, you tell the person, you have to pay this. And going on checking on them, just finding a tag on a t-shirt, you said it was used cargo. But this shows that the things are new. So you have to pay another tax. That's what happened.
But if they do not play their role, I think we have more to discuss.
Ivan,
yes.
One thing, I need to acknowledge Coach Wayne Thompson, who came over at this special launch from the UK. I also need to acknowledge Chikadi's Pre-Primary School in Chitala, Bukande Kandi, Entebbe, Golden Impact Sports Club at Zabo Stadium in Mukono, Katikolo, Score Beyond Leadership Organization from Adjumani, who also showed up, Motion Youth Hub in Kazobwaise, and Sports Organization of Lugazi, who have been outstanding as local community-based partners.
Are you willing to spread wings to other zones in the country?
Yes, we intend to scale. Our big, hairy, audacious goal is 1 million happy feet.
That will be great. Okay, gentlemen, for time reasons, we will leave the conversation here. But Hudson and Andrew, thank you so much for really making time to come and share with us. We also hope and believe when you go up country, spread the message. Yes. I know there are many good journalists that will always give this airtime and have you enlighten communities and as far as how we want to also develop. And for all of you watching us online, we really want to thank you. In case you want these gentlemen to comment on or any clarification, you think just send a comment. I know Andrew and Hudson are always active on social media. They will respond to your concerns. But thank you for keeping here. We're out for now. Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Mbuuza meya akyegana, tawunikiraka akyegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga eno ejja kuggwa.
That is politics. Era tetulina kyakulya n'enkya tekigenda kubaawo.
Ate ne President Museveni bannanga akyali baby.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves.